This is Carl Moore talking management for the Globe and Mail. Today I'm delighted to speak to Mary Yoko Brannen, who's a professor at INSEAD, one of the world's top business schools. Good morning, Mary Yoko.
Good morning, Carl.
Mary Yoko, I understand that you and a team have been looking at this phenomenon of bicultural people. What have you learned thus far?
Yes, I've been leading a research team on biculturalism, which is the new demographic in the workforce. The statistics show that currently in California, for example, over 40% of the workforce, entering workforce, is bicultural, meaning that they're either biracial or they have immigrated to California, bring with them socializations steeped in two different cultures. And so what we're interested in is what kind of skill sets do they bring to the global workforce, to multinational corporations? Do they have any different kinds of talent to offer in terms of bridging across cultures than monoculturals? Is it something that can be learned? Is it something that we can add to leadership skill sets, for example? And kind of what we're finding is that biculturals, and this is just obvious, that they do have different skill sets than monoculturals. But more interestingly, there are different types of biculturals. So, for example, I am bicultural. I was born and raised in Japan, but I don't look it. I'm not biracial. But Japanese was my first language. And I grew up in a country that's very culturally distinct from the US, which is my other cultural home. And so I grew up really not fitting into the Japanese culture, but going to schools in Japan, Japanese schools, and kind of sticking out. So I'm what one would call a neither nor bicultural. Because of that, not being able to completely fit in, people like myself, who are neither nor biculturals, bring with them skill sets that called multicultural metacognition, or another part of the skill set is something that we call perceptual acuity, which means being able to see both the forest as well as the trees, and being able to be more culturally pluralistic, kind of have observer skills, kinds of skills that really do help in terms of a company going global in various different types of global conditions and contexts. There are other types of biculturals, like either-or biculturals, who are very, very skilled in understanding their home culture sets. So they shift between China, their Chinese mindset, for example, and their Canadian mindset. And they're able to leverage that cultural specific knowledge. So it's very important to managers and HR people to understand what skill sets these biculturals bring.
When I hear about this, if you're monocultural, as most people are, you're jealous of these skill sets. How can you potentially develop these skill sets?
And so the way a monocultural can develop these skill sets there's a variety, so that they can go and study abroad. They can work in the Peace Corps. They can go teach English abroad, or teach somehow live abroad for a period of time. What the studies are showing, Will Maddox, for example, at INSEAD in organizational behavior, is showing that not just any experience abroad matters. You have to have a deep culturation abroad. So that would mean that you'd have to be there, the studies show, at least 3 to 5 years. And that it's useful if you go and take on something that's transformational in terms of your life. It could be that you marry someone from a different culture, or it could be that you take on a job that you're very passionate about, and that you really get entrenched in the culture to be able to begin to have the germ of another cultural mindset.
Okay.